So for those of you who do not know us, this is Nancy Zare. I am the sales whisperer.
And I'm Hersh Rephun, the personal brand builder.
Okay. And today we want to talk about selling, the actual act of selling. And the reason I brought this up as a topic is because our clients, mine, yours, ours, and that we share in common, they don't like to sell. Now, they like to reap the results of selling. I mean, they're
Sure.
not shy about delivering their services, meeting new people, onboarding. All of that is a joy. But the actual process of the selling is what makes them stumble and makes them shy away and say, not for me.
Yeah. And I think that across the board, the perception about selling is a great place to start because what is it? I think that we come with all this baggage to the idea of selling. So, what is it in your opinion, Nancy? You are a sales expert, you are the sales whisperer. What is selling to you?
This is something I actually looked up in the dictionary. I mean, I had a notion of what it was, and that notion was the stereotype about the used car salesman. And so I looked it up in the dictionary. And of course, we think about an exchange, right? I have a product, a service, and you have usually money, and there's an exchange. Well, I came across the definition of sales as influence. And that immediately struck the right chord with me because indeed, sales is communication with the idea in mind to influence someone towards a particular action. And I like that definition. It's to influence.
And so when we talk about influence, what is the real psychological drawback to influencing someone when we honestly feel that our influence is helpful and that they are coming to us or we are finding them in need?
You said something very important, and that is in our kishkis, in our innards, we need to know that what we are influencing the other person to do is in their best interest, that it is a positive step. It's when people try to influence another person because it's in my best interest, the influencer's best interest, that's what we want to avoid. That's when it becomes manipulative, sleazy, unethical, out of integrity, and so forth. But if Hersh, and you and I have known each other now for some months, I don't think quite even a year yet, but I feel like
Close,
my brother,
close.
right?
Yeah.
So we know each other somehow karmically for a while here. When something is in your best interest, I present it to you. I feel comfortable. It's not transactional. It's definitely because I value, respect, honor you, and want to see you succeed. From my point of view, this seems like a good choice for you. Hence, I present it from that heart-centered, loving place.
You hit on the word transactional, that it's not transactional. That's a big one because a lot of us need the relationship building with our clients, and our clients need the relationship building with their clients. It's rarely transactional, even when they may think that it's transactional. In other words, they may say, well, I have to get X amount of business this month. I need to keep the lights on. I need to do this or I need to do that. Well, we all know that's not the way to come to a new sale anyway. So the idea of just what I would maybe call relationship training, right? Where they need to learn how to make the relationship really important and not the sale. And then it's not like they're faking empathy or they're faking connection. They're just bringing it out in themselves. They're learning that everything isn't just, dollars and cents. We get kind of fooled, I think, into thinking that it's dollars and cents because there's so much desperation and kind of coldness out there.
When a person comes from that place of thinking transactionally, this is what kiboshes and nixes the sale,
Yeah.
because people sense it, they smell it, they feel it. It's a different experience than when you come from a place that is grounded in compassion and caring and honoring and respecting that other person. People can tell the difference. And it's interesting to me, Hersh, again, it's something that I deal with all the time with my clients, because these are beautiful, loving people who care and want to make a difference in the world. But as soon as you say, well, here's a sales conversation with a new person, all of a sudden they think transactionally, and it kind of puts this veil over their coming across with caring for the individual and the relationship. It's like now they have this goal, like I have to make a sale, as opposed to I have to serve.
Yeah.
Selling is service. And I know that that made a huge difference for me coming as I have a master's in social work and later went on, I got a doctorate and so forth. And it service, I'm all about service. It's my number one value. And when I backdoored into selling after graduating with my degrees, I was marketing mental health services in the workplace. And, when I was thinking of it transactionally, it wasn't great. And when I realized it's about serving people, serving that company and serving its employees and its managers, all of a sudden it was a totally different ballgame. That is the mindset, the heart set that you need in order to be effective in what we do.
I think there's two sides to what I would call the dirty word syndrome. We think selling is a dirty word, but there's a part of us that thinks serving may be a dirty word. In other words, serving may be, I don't know, self righteous or unrealistic, or, like for someone to say, I'm here to serve, you know, there's a little bit of perhaps stigma on that also.
You know, the word subservient is not a
Yeah.
good word, right? And as
Yeah.
you were talking about, again, shying away from the word service, that's what came to mind. And
Yeah.
too many of us, service becomes subservient and we become the doormat. And
Mhm.
again, we forget about the fact that we've got so much to offer. We have to value ourselves and at the same time value our prospect, our client. Give from our hearts. And when there is an authentic, a real connection there, selling then is just a matter of formalizing the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. And that leads us to maybe the final thought of this, which is labels in general are supposed to help us. What is labeling about? Labeling is supposed to be, I put a sticker on this thing so I know what it is. I label my notebook fantastic ideas because I want to know where to put all my fantastic ideas. But the idea that we have to spend too much brain power thinking about selling versus serving, when even relationship building, when really it is about that process more than it's about the name, we would do well to just focus on those concepts and not so much, am I selling today? Am I buying today? Are you the seller or the buyer? What are you? Everything isn't a transaction, and therefore we don't have to worry about that.
And yet everything is communication. And so when we connect in an authentic way, when we come from who we are, as opposed to playing a role, the role of seller, the role of buyer, or whatever it might be, when I come and I bring my whole self, this is when the magic happens. And
Yeah.
yes, we can put the label on it at the end, a sale got made, but really it's a connection that's cemented with that exchange of I agree to do this and you agree to do that.
Yep. And it's worth mentioning also Some of you who've watched this before have seen me say I'm a message therapist. The fact is, while I've been practicing message therapy without a license, and there is no license for message therapy, that's just another name for sitting and listening to people, listening to my clients. I also found that it's a little bit too much of a label. It's limiting in what I do. I do so many things to build a brand, and listening is just part of them. So, brand builder, while not super exciting or clever, is very much to the point. I'm a personal brand builder. And so there are times to be clever, and there are times to be direct, and there are times to not worry at all about what the nomenclature is.
Amen. So, folks, this is the conclusion of this version of Know and Sell Pointers. It's Dr. Nancy Zare, the sales whisperer.
Hersh Rephun, your personal brand builder.